Hello, in this video I'd like to give a quick overview on document security within WorldDocs. And I'm going to start off in WD-admin and go over something called file security classifications that you as a WorldDocs administrator can set up for your users to take advantage of. So right here in WD-admin I've got this file security button, and if I click on this, dialog box will pop up, and I've got a padlock button here for security that says new. And I'm going to click on this. And now to set up a security classification, first thing you need to do is click on the Properties button, and then you're going to give it a name. So what these security classifications are for is if you have a team or group of users that constantly want to secure documents just for use by their team or that group, you can set up a security classification for them to select, and that way it'll apply the security to the document for just the members of this classification. So this is very helpful if you have a group or a team of users that are constantly wanting to secure documents just among themselves. And also it is an advantage for you if you're in that type of situation when you have employee turnover. So as one person leaves this group or team and another person comes on board, or they expand that team and one or two more people come on board, you need to add them to this security classification. When you edit the security classification and remove or add users to it once it's been in use for a while and save those changes, the WorldDocs indexer will go throughout your WorldDocs system and update any documents that were already secured with this classification and update the security on those documents to meet the new users that are in there or users that have been removed from there to keep the document security up to date. So in this example, let's say I've got a litigation team that constantly works together and they want to secure these documents just amongst their litigation team. I'm going to create this security classification, and just for an example, I'm going to call it Lit Team A. Now, who can choose this classification? Assigned users and or members of assigned groups, everyone. I'm going to make it just assigned users because I'm not going to be choosing from any groups. I'm just going to be choosing users to create this team. You also have this fourth option up here, and this is for existing security classifications that have you created and you've already been using it to apply security to documents. Now you no longer want to use that security classification. You can choose no one so that it's no longer available as a choice to secure documents with, but any documents that were already secured with it will retain that security. So in this case, I'm going to choose assigned users, click OK. Now I have to pick the users that make up Lit Team A. So I'm going to click on Add Users, and I'm going to choose the users that make up this team and click OK and choose the 3 checked. And what it's going to do by default is give full permissions. So when this security is set to the document, these 3 users will have full permissions to the document. Everyone else it'll be hidden from, minus WorldDocs managers. WorldDocs managers will still be able to access these files. Now let's say this team also has a user that whenever they secure documents, they want this one user just to have read-only access to these secured documents. So they don't want this particular user editing the documents, but they want the user to be able to find it, view it, print it, but not be able to make changes or edits. We could add another user to this group, and I'll add this user here. And then for this user, with it highlighted in the list, I'm going to go ahead and uncheck these additional permissions so that I'm only giving them find and read access to the file. Now that I've set this team up, I'm going to click OK to save it. Now what's going to happen when a member of that team goes to save a document or change security on a document and they go into the security choices, they will see this as a choice to select from. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of here, and then I'm going to switch to a computer where I'm logged on. Okay, so I've just logged on a PC as one of those users that was a member of that Lit Team A security classification that we set up. And I've started typing a new document, and I've had WorldDocs open, so I'm going to go ahead and save this. And now when WorldDocs pops up on the initial save screen, you can add security to a document. I'll go over this in just a second. Let me fill out the metadata information first. Now when I click on Add Security, these are my options. I have Custom, Hidden, Protected, and because I'm a member of this Lit Team A, I see that as an option as well. Now, if I'm a user that's not a member of Lit Team A, the only thing I'm going to see is custom, hidden, and protected. So let me go over what these security classifications mean. If I make the document hidden, what that means is whoever user codes are, in this case the author and typist field, because those are linked to the WorldDocs user list. So whatever field you have linked to the WorldDocs user list, that's what the security applies to, in this case author and typist. That means in this case, this user is the only user that'll be able to find this document or work on this document in this system if I make it hidden, along with any WorldDocs managers. So a WorldDocs manager will still be able to access a document even if it has security on it. Now, if I had a different user and typist, let's say I had one user and author and a different user and typist, then the hidden would apply to, those two users. So depending on who's in the author and typist field is who gets the hidden security. So that means it's no one else on the system can find it. Only who's ever in the author and typist field in this case would be able to find the document, edit it, and work on it. And also a WorldDocs manager has access as well. Your next option is protected. With protected, it makes it read-only to everyone else. So whoever is in this case the author and typist field, because they're linked to the WorldDocs user list, they would have full access to the document. They could work on it, edit it, just like a normal document. But everyone else that had access to this cabinet would just see it as a read-only document. So they could view it, print it, open it, and do a save as to create a new document, but they wouldn't be able to make any changes to the document. And then I have my Lit Team A, which I could select, and that would apply the security based on how it was set up in that security classification in WD Admin. Now your other option here is custom. And if I double click on custom, it lets you choose which users or groups you want to apply security to this document, and then give what permissions you want to those users or groups. So this is just very similar to that security classification that you set up in WD Admin, but the big difference is this is individually applied to this document. So if, let's say, you had a group that was saving documents similar to Lit Team A, but instead of you setting up a security classification in WD Admin for them to use, every time they saved a document, they went in and added the users and applied the permissions and saved it. Then over time, they had a couple hundred or 1,000 documents in the system with the security classification on it. And now an employee leaves or a new one comes on board. There's really no easy way to do a mass change of that. You have to basically change the security on all those documents to get that change. Unlike the security classification that you set up in WD Admin, that Lit Team A, if you have employee turnover, if a user leaves that team or an additional user comes on board that team, you can just edit that security classification in WD Admin, and then that'll put those changes across all the existing documents that were already profiled and secured using that classification. So this one you want to be a little careful about using. We do have a lot of sites that'll actually block this option from their end users just because of that. And if you want to do that, you do that WD Admin and security groups, and I'll show you that when we go back into WD Admin after this. So once you select your security, in this case I'll just select hidden and click OK. It now saves the document and applies the security to that document. So if I go into WorldDocs, I now see the document here and I see a padlock next to it. And the padlock may vary in color based on what permissions you have to that file. Now, since this is hidden, a user that doesn't have access to it isn't even going to see it in WorldDocs. It'll be hidden from them in view. Not only can they not work on it, they won't even know it exists. When it's protected, they'll see it as a read-only document if you put protected security on it. And if you have full access, in my case, I see it with this green padlock saying I know it's secured, but I have access to it. Now you can also put security on existing documents, and there's two different ways you can do that. One, when you're editing the metadata of a document, the security button is on the edit metadata screen. And also you can highlight a file and just hit the security button. And then you'll see your choices here. So in this case, if I choose Lit Team A and select it, it then places that security on here. Now, if let's say you've secured a document, you want to remove that security, you can also do that through the security button. So on this document right here, if I want to remove this security or change it, I can click on security. Notice it brings up a slightly different dialog since the file is already secured. Asks you if you want to classify it, reclassify it, declassify it, check what the properties are on the security, or no change. And if I choose declassify, it'll actually remove the security from the document. So that's how you'd go about adding security to a document, or removing security, or checking the properties of the security, and the different ways you can do that through the WorldDocs client. Now I'm going to switch back to WD Admin, and then I want to show you a couple things. One, how to block that custom security, and also how you'd go about editing the Lit Team A security classification. I'm back at WD Admin, and I just want to review those two items real quick. One, how you would block that custom security from your users if you choose to do so. And you do that by going into group security. And we're going to make sure everyone's highlighted on the left. And we'll go into features in the center, and we'll scroll down. And there'll be a class called Secure. And here we have Secure Protect, Secure Hide, and Secure Custom. Secure Custom would be the one that you would want to block if you wanted to block that from your users so they couldn't do the custom type security on their files. Just highlight it, hit the block button, block it. And now if we go into features blocked, we can just verify that it's in there. We see secure custom. Now I'm just going to hit the save button to save those changes. And now the next time the users restart their WorldDocs client and they go into security, at that point they would just see protected and hidden. They wouldn't see the custom anymore. And if they had any security groups that you created through document security classifications like that Lit Team A, they would see that as well. Now, if let's say you have employee turnover and now you want to change that Lit Team A security classification. If we go into File Security, we have this here. We just highlight it, hit the Edit button. And now let's say this user right here has left. Maybe they're still at your firm or place of business, but they're no longer part of this team. And so that team wants this user removed. You just highlight it, hit the remove, and say yes. And now let's say the replacement user that's coming on board, you select that user. And once you do that, just click OK. That'll save the changes. And now when the indexer runs its nightly update as a scheduled event that night, and it goes through all the files in your system, any document that it finds that was secured based on that security classification will be updated to reflect what user was removed or what user was added. And then when they come into work the next morning, those new users will have access to those existing documents that were already secured. So that's what I wanted to cover in this quick overview on document security.